This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by former world champion Sonny Edwards here in Birmingham. Sonny, before we come on to all the good talk, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Here we are. I'm back in Birmingham. Now you're here as a manager as opposed to a fighter. What were you expecting from your man George Early on Saturday night?
And a commentator, pundit, TV show host. Yeah, I got a busy weekend and a fan, most importantly. I'm expecting for the main event a fantastic fight. Rodriguez is no slouch. He's a former unified world champion. He's been in there. He's been in there with really some of the best fighters in the world, and all his losses really have been against top tier fighters. So, and maybe the stylistically that you wouldn't want for Yafai, because he's a firefighter, putting him someone else that's comfortable there. Then it's sort of a roll of the dice, who's hitting harder, who's taking the punches better, who's engines, and I think it's going to be that sort of fight. But that is a great spectacle of an event and a fight for the neutral and for everyone involved. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight. I'm really looking forward to it.
Obviously, those inside the sport will know just how difficult of a challenge is ahead for Galal. A victory here, do you feel like that cements his position as being ready to challenge for world honours?
I think he's already there. Like he said at the press conference, in his last fight, he beat the world number one. He beat the world number one in me, and yeah, okay, there's a lot of people that want to put a question mark on asterisks around that performance from him, but he got in there and did what he had to do in devastating fashion. He didn't lose a second in the fight, really, so I get it. And bear in mind, he had to beat me for an interim, and then now defend the interim against a former world champion, then to fight Kenshiro, who's arguably the best fighter in the weight. If Galal goes through now, beats Rodriguez, beats Kenshiro, then he really needs to go down as one of the better fighters that's ever come out of Britain, because the Olympic gold medal already a fantastic achievement, and already what he's done, his body of work, fantastic, jumped straight in the deep end. Proper fighter.
I'm sure you saw some comments yesterday from Galal at the press conference where Eddie mentioned your fight to him and how maybe you was at the back end of your career, and Galal hit back at that saying, how can you look at that now because you were younger than him? And when I asked him afterwards, do you feel like maybe people discredit his victory over you? And he says you just feel like that a little bit. Do you get that sense? Do you feel like people take away from his victory because obviously you went on to retire after that fight?
Do you know what I think? The main sticking point of it, I think, is that the main talking point from the fight weren't Galal and his tremendous performance, and I think that's probably quite frustrating for him. Unfortunate with timing. I wasn't lying. That was generally what was in my head and heart. It was what I was trying to put out of it, but everyone's got a voice in their head that sometimes they try not to listen to, but it's hard, and my body's falling apart, and I've got my version of events, but that doesn't take away anything from the effort or the performance of Galal. He won fair and square, beat me better than anyone, well, depending on how you see it, the BAM fight compared, better than anyone else had, and he deserves all the credit and praise. I think I don't want to be, up my own arse or big-headed or disrespectful, but I think the biggest problem is no one really cares about the flyweight division outside of the fight with me. And then when it did go, it was like they were still talking about me. Since then, I've sort of been everywhere. I've been in Monaco. I've been in. Yes, Kat, what are you saying? He's saying the voice. I've been all over. What are you saying, fam? Yes, come on. What are you saying, bro? And I've been all over, and I think that's one of the problems, if I'm honest. I think there's just not been that much relevance. Clips, videos, next fight being talked of. Do you know what I mean? And I think.
What do you think then he needs to try and address that if he can? Is it simply moving up to face more recognised names? Because obviously, as you move up divisions, there are more recognisable names out there.
Yeah, but it's hard because he is a flyweight, and you don't want to just start going up too much just to be in fights that more people buy into. Really, you want to fight where best suits you. And look, he beat comfortably the biggest name in the division, and I think the problem is that he didn't really capture the moment too much. You know what I mean? I didn't have to sit through loads of interviews or loads of, you know, promotion, really. It's kind of like he disappeared, whereas I've probably worked 20, 25 fight weeks, cards, since I've retired. Commentating, managing, corner work, between them three things, I'm usually at a show every other weekend at least. And that sort of visibility makes it a lot easier to promote and sell fights. I know that's not really in his nature. He just wants to turn up and do the business. And don't get me wrong, that will get you there. Keep turning up and doing the business. But the moment you don't do the business, like, you're a bit more in obscurity than maybe you would have been if you was selling the life out of all the fights. You know what I mean? And I don't know, but he's a great fighter, Olympic champion, and probably will go on to win a world title. But this is a tremendously dangerous fight for him. Rodriguez is no slouch.
Just away from him, just a few fights I want to quickly get your thoughts on before I let you leave. July 19th, Usyk-Dubois 2, Sonny, just get your thoughts, please.
It's weird because I'm one of those people that, bear in mind, I'm a massive fan of Usyk, a bigger fan of Usyk than I ever have been Dubois. You know what I mean? Dubois was someone that I boxed on the same cards of, someone that I kind of remember from when we was all kids and that, so he's not like star to me, if that makes sense. But Usyk, known from kid, but, you know, always been on the other side of the world or doing the best in the amateurs than the pros. And I kind of think Dubois, in an English ring, would have won the first time. Because that body shot, for me, it wasn't his nuts. And I can't lie, when you get hit in that sort of middle bit, under the belly button and above like that, that's not really an illegal shot. I thought the protector, in my opinion, that's just my opinion of how I see things. And I think it was kind of like in a shot where on someone else's groin guard and someone else's shots was a legal shot. And if not, very, very borderline in the home corner, in the home fight, he might have won that fight. So he definitely can hurt him because there was no way Usyk was going to get up because he tried. He tried to get up and couldn't and was on the floor for about 5 minutes, then eventually got up. But Usyk, tremendous fighter where he just overcame and readjusted and then sort of punched him to a standstill. So there's still that, but Usyk's getting older. And Dubois getting older, but that's a better thing for Dubois because he's still in that. He's not the oldest. What is it, 28? 28, I would say, a year younger than me. So he's 28, you know what I mean? And 27, 28. And Usyk's now, what, 34, 35? Getting on? 36, 37. That's even older. And yeah, eventually those reactions and eventually the size and the maturity and the confidence. He's got a lot of confidence now. But who can pick against Usyk is what I would say because he's that great. But there's definitely some big question marks, I think.
Canelo-Crawford. On the back of Canelo's performance against Williams, got a few people maybe leaning towards Terence Crawford now. What's your thoughts? Do you feel like the same? Do you feel like we saw a performance there which Terence Crawford will take a lot of confidence from?
Maybe, but at the same time, Canelo, you know, if you move away from him and box, you can get to him, especially this sort of like heavier, slower, older version of Canelo that we're seeing now. But if you stand and fight with him, he's accurate, dangerous, mature, everything that you need. He can take a shot better than probably anyone else. We've seen him take clean shots from Golovkin and not really flinch. We've never seen him hurt, really, physically, not even troubled, really, I would go as far as saying. Even Bivol, who was way bigger than him and sort of had all the reach and range, still weren't absolutely physically manhandling him. So, I don't know, I just think the bigger guy for a longer time. Canelo has physical advantages, but Crawford is as elite and as pound for pound strong as you can get. You can literally see when he's in there his whole lifetime of wrestling and boxing experience, and he uses every bit of his movement and he uses the other fighter's body against him, and it's just two elite fighters. And it's like one of those, we roll the dice how the styles come up, and what are you saying, Dan? And it really is just how it sort of comes together, I think. But usually the bigger, better fighter beats the slightly smaller, better fighter, you know what I mean? And I think it's just a bit that, even though their start weight wasn't a million miles away, so who knows? But fantastic spectacle and a fight that I can't wait to watch.
Last one from me. On the same night as Usyk-Dubois, during the night we see the return of ring legend Manny Pacquiao. Just get your thoughts, Sonny. What do you make of the Pac-Man's return? Do you give him much of a chance against Mario Barrios? Yeah, just your overall take.
Well, I know Barrios probably hasn't been the highest touted world champion, but he's still a world champion. He's still had a good career, good wins, and Manny Pacquiao's what, 46 now? And he looked, and I hate to speak this way of a legend, but unfortunately when they're actually still operating, you've got to speak for, and he's fighting for a world title, no? WBC, right? I don't know, he looked awful in his kickboxing fight. Do you know what I mean? So
A
unless,
lot of people thought he didn't look good against Ugas 4 years ago.
do you know what I mean? Now, I don't know, he's probably got his own, and he's probably getting paid a lot of money, and he might be taking that back to the Philippines or whatever. I don't know, but I don't know, man. I think the boxing ring is, it's a young man's game, really, innit? And if you've already retired a couple of times, and you're coming back from a couple of times retirement, and you're at an age that it sounds crazy that you're still doing any sport, let alone boxing. Not any sport, but any, like, footballer 46. That sounds mad, doesn't it? Like professional, let alone professional boxer 46. But if anyone can, Pac-Man, you know what I mean? So who knows? I don't know. I would love him to roll back the years and throw 1,000 punches and go, but then there'd probably be even bigger question marks, wouldn't there? And probably be some even bigger question marks. So I don't know what to make of boxing sometimes. It's, but who cares what I think? Good luck.
Okay, Sonny, because I appreciate you doing this interview with me, so I'll leave you to go and catch up with everybody now. Thank you for speaking to me. I'll catch you soon.
Cheers, Andy.